wasn't a. Ta-da! We're ready to rock. Okay. Take two. Yes, I'm okay with it. Okay, great. Okay, so, ta-da! Task Force 2024 team. Thank you so much for devoting your time, your, I don't know how to advance slides. This is great. How do we, yeah, why is this not happening? Anybody know how to advance slides? Because I clicked the arrows. Oh, maybe
And
Todd just
space
did it.
space bar.
Oh,
Oh,
maybe I
there you
just did
go.
that. Yes. So thank you for all the stuff you're doing. And before we get really deep into the PowerPoint, I wanted to take some time to do a round of intros. A round of intros. So, like I said before Todd came back, state your name and location or population you get to work with, and then your win for the last week. And then once you're done, popcorn it to somebody else who has not shared yet. So I'm going to stop sharing so everybody can see everybody. And I'll go first. I'm Erica, and my location is South Metro, specifically Lakeville, Minnesota. And population that I get to work with is birth to earth. I really don't know if there's a age that I don't get to work with. And my biggest win is that my daughter ate the dinner tonight and liked it, to be completely honest, because we just came back from break and she's been on a huge trip of snacks and mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. So tonight was a fajita, a chicken fajita protein bowl. So it was rice and chicken and peppers and onions. She liked it and ate it all. It's a great win. So I'm gonna popcorn it to Brianna.
Yes, so I'm Brianna. I don't know if we're supposed to say where we live or where we're working, but I live in St. Paul and I work with people pretty much half of the metro area from Minneapolis to like the border of Wisconsin. And I work in hospice. And a win for this week, I guess, is I recently restarted a creative project that I had put on hold for many, many months. So I'm picking up my embroidery succulent art piece that is not finished. So that's exciting. And I guess I will popcorn to Judy.
Good evening. I'm Judy Simpson. I'm the Director of Government Relations for AMTA. I live in Martinsburg, West Virginia. And yes, as we talked about, I have snow about 8 inches. And oh, view just changed. My win for the last week is that this is my 10th call of the new year for, if you count the states, waiver calls, staff meetings. It's just like everybody loaded Monday and Tuesday of this week with calls. So tomorrow I only have one. So so I'm and I'm still standing, or I'm still sitting, so looking on Zoom. It's good to be with you all. I'm gonna send it over to Sean.
Hello, I'm Sean Blum. I work at Twin Cities Music Therapy Services in Minneapolis. Like Erica, I work with all sorts of people because we're a private practice that is open to everybody. So my biggest win had to be my niece loving the toy saxophone I got her. She's 6 and I get her a different instrument for every little thing. And she started playing it and figuring out how to do tunes right away. So very proud of her. Let's kick it off to Jessica.
Hello, I am Jessica. I'm right in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, and I've got my little guy Michael with me here. Michael is getting his second tooth, which I think will be our win of the week in the next 24 to 48 hours, I think. So that is why he is joining me here. And yes, happy to join and to learn more about what's going on here. Thank you. I'm
Jessica?
sorry, I forgot to popcorn. I will popcorn to Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm at the edge of South Minneapolis. I'm retired from the Minneapolis Public Schools and do consulting now. My win has just been laughing at my family members who thought they were living in warmer, non-snowy climates and looking at the pictures they send, as they have so much more snow than we do. So first time for that, yeah. So I will pop it over to Laura.
Hi everyone, sorry for joining late. I was getting my kiddo to bed. I am Laura. I am in Minneapolis, like on the edge of St. Paul. I'm in Prospect Park. I started a few weeks ago work with the hospice company. Some changes. Anyway, so then a win is I gifted my child my old bad ukulele, and so he's been running around the house because he wants to be Miguel from Coco. So he's running around the house doing un poco loco, and he sings it at the top of his lungs, and it's perfection. If I can catch a video of him doing it, I will. But that's my win. And I don't know who hasn't gone because I hopped on late. So Melissa.
Of course, in trying to find the unmute thing, I hide my Zoom screen. We've been doing this for 5 years, right, guys? Jeez. Melissa Spees. I live in New Brighton. I have a private practice, Living Spirit Therapy Services, and we serve, I like that birth to earth phrase there. We serve everybody. My specialty is neuro, especially stroke rehab, TBI, in older adults in hospice. And I will pass it on to Kimberly.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Senna Moore. I'm Regulatory Affairs Associate for CBMT. And I live in a place that will very likely never get snow. I'm in Southwest Florida, in the Fort Myers area. My full-time job is I'm a coordinator of the music therapy program at Florida Gulf Coast University. And so, yeah, my population is college age students. I trained future music therapists. That's been my job for now 11 years. And my biggest win of the week is that we started classes yesterday and I was ready to start my class yesterday. That's my win for the week, which in university land is absurdly early. So I'll popcorn it to Dina.
How did I know you were going to do that?
Because you might have been the only one left.
Could be. Hi, I'm Dina Register. My camera is off because I'm currently walking back to my house. So in order to keep you all from feeling like you're in a scene from the Blair Witch Project, I'll be off camera until I get into my house. I am in the not so warm Orlando, Florida right now, and it is very chilly for us. My win of the week is getting my senior in high school launched into the last semester of his K through 12 education. And probably the other win will come tomorrow, getting my 7th grader, who is a working actor, started on his next production.
Todd or Melissa Wenzel, either one of you. I don't know who
Sure.
you're
I have coworkers upstairs of forms of kids. So if they're screaming in the background, I apologize in advance. Melissa Wenzel, Samborski, legally long name. And so work in the Twin Cities, womb to tomb as well. Probably the last decade, much more focused within mental health and also rehab within that. And but still smatterings of everything just to keep all the skills in check. Gosh, there's been a lot of wins, so that's great. But the one that just occurred was my kids were asking when we're going to go back to the yurt, because right before Christmas, we spent 3 days in a yurt in the winter. So there's no electricity, no heat, just the wood stove. And we actually did crafting things and we hiked and we were out in the winter and we made our own pasta. I had them like hand rolling pasta and stuff. So they had pasta tonight that Daddy made, and they all said it wasn't as good as the homemade stuff in the yurt. So there's my win, because if anyone knows me, I like to be really unplugged and really remote. And no offense to people, but I think y'all get it on some days. We just don't always like people. And so I have to get back to really, really grassroots things completely. So that is my win, that they want to go back sooner than later and do all the things that are pretty rustic. So that makes my heart very happy. So total win. And go for it, Todd.
I want some of that pasta. That sounds amazing. So hi, I'm Todd. Thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate you. I am in a suburb of Minneapolis, southern suburb called Shakopee. I had the privilege of teaching over at the University of Minnesota. But I also do love to still do as much clinical work as I can, and primarily work within the autistic community. My win. It's kind of a theme, so I'll talk about the kids, I guess. My oldest is going to turn 21 in 21 days. And I finally convinced her after almost a month of college break that she needs to start applying for her summer job. So she put her application in finally this afternoon. She's majoring in therapeutic recreation. So hopefully she'll go work for the whole summer at a pretty cool place. So anyway, that's my win. Erica?
Oh, that's great. I think there might be more joining us in 10 minutes, and when they arrive, well, not, well, yeah, we'll embarrass them and have them do intros at that time. So, ha ha ha. That's what they get. I'm kidding. So, moving on. As Todd and I have said before, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And that was supposed to be my next slide. Oh, there we go. And we want to thank you for your time, your support, any type of sacrificing that you have done in order to get the next step, or also, most importantly, your patience. We've done a lot of fun things, and there's always firsts for everything. And a few firsts that we did was create a task force event that also gave you a CMT support, so a return for your time. And that's always been there. We just try to highlight it even more to make it sound better. It's more juicy. The other thing that we did is we started to utilize Google Chat. And it was the free platform for project management. We knew that there was a lot of fun things that had an opportunity to be upgraded and updated, and to share a lot of information and be concise and direct, and to deliver it to a bunch of people all at once. And there were some things that we discovered, which I want to get into a little bit later if we have time, and if those who did participate in the Google Chat, to provide some feedback. What were the things that worked? What didn't work? What frustrated you? What could you have used more of? We compared this system, Google Chat, to Microsoft Meets and also Slack. And at the point, we really went with the free option, the free platform that was a little bit more user-friendly. And we thought, well, maybe most people were more familiar with Google Chat. So honestly, that was the reason why we went there. Does that mean that we're going to use it forever? No, we just wanted to start somewhere. So we would love your help and your feedback on that. The other thing we tried is subcommittees. We wanted to see if there was any way that we could structure this amazing opportunity for everybody to feel like there was a team collaborative approach, and that they wouldn't be doing the work alone. And we thought, well, let's separate it, and we'll kind of go into more about what those subcommittees were. And then Evolution, embracing the change for a more supportive future. This is something that I'm not sure if the task force has really done in this kind of format before in the state of Minnesota. So I thought, well, let's try it. Let's see it. If it works, let's see where we can go from there. And then maybe it can be replicated and used in other states, or maybe like sub features of it could be used. Maybe not all of it, but yeah, thought we could show and share. All right. So now, without further ado, I wanted to at least give shout outs to those that are here and give awareness to those that are not here. All of the subcommittees that we have. We had created 8 subcommittees total. And each subcommittee had at least 2 people in all the subcommittees. And how this was organized was, it was a first come, first served basis. We sent out a Google form to all the board certified music therapists at that time and had asked, hey, you want to get some CMTs? What do you think? Commit to like 50 minutes of time. And we wanted to make things obtainable and we wanted to make it realistic while also just kind of, I don't know, preventing burnout. And secondarily, exposing some of the fun work we get to do in order to really kind of support the individuals that we get to talk to at the Capitol and at the state level, to show them what we get to do and how to collect data and present it in a way where it's easy and consumable. I want to check the chat real quick. I see it's like flaring up.
I got it. I'm addressing a question Melissa S. had.
Oh, got it. Okay, what?
You're good.
Okay, great. Perfect. Yeah. Interrupt me, please. If there's something that needs to be addressed. So we've got the Dropbox task. I'm not sure if anybody's here that's representing this one, so I can go ahead and give a brief overview and what it really consisted of. It had Felicia, Gretchen, Jake, and Emily all working hard to transfer all of our stuff from the Minnesota Task Force Dropbox into the Google Cloud. And Todd and I made some really fun discoveries with that as far as like who owned it, who created it. And we found out, so that way it wouldn't be a financial burden on that individual, even though they were so gracious and so kind to be able to support it for all of these years. So the Minnesota Task Force Dropbox is no longer active and no longer a thing right now. It is all in the Min Task Force Google Drive. And these individuals, wonderful individuals, took the time to go ahead and transfer all of those and organize them in a way where it's really easy to navigate and to find all of the work that has been done in the past to support the task force since its beginnings. And community outreach task. We had
Erica, hang on,
Yeah,
real quick. You're doing beautiful. I just want to add just a little bit about just
yeah, chime
emphasize the
in.
importance of moving us out of Dropbox. So as we've evolved as no, you're doing great. As we've evolved as a task force, and we've learned from past mistakes or past missteps, moving the Dropbox into a type of format that is more easily shared and edited as a group and accessible by many, hopefully will help with communication and collaboration, and kind of then handing it off to even like the next round of folks, whoever that may be, or as our group continues to grow, which we hope it continues to grow, then this will just make it a whole lot easier to collaborate, working out of a Google folder, and instead of out of the Dropbox. So much appreciated all the work, as you said, that those 4 amazing colleagues of ours did.
I love it. Thank you. So, Sean, I know that you were a part of a lot of amazing task groups. You can choose what you would like to talk about. I empower you to talk about as many as you would like or as little as you would like. So that way I don't have to talk the whole time.
Sure thing. Yeah, no, we can share the load a little bit. So yeah, for the community outreach tasks, we're primarily focused on updating the House and Senate lists for their new appointments. Some of the committees that they've been assigned to are not fully updated with like their phone numbers, and they haven't got their legislative assistants yet. But I left links in those documents where you can find those when they are updated. And otherwise, we just worked on creating scripts for reaching out to people for advocacy work. Casey was also fantastic at working on that with me, and yeah, that's what we got done in that group.
Todd, I don't know if you want to like switch off and, I don't know.
I mean, I'm happy to.
Yes, but-
And Sean, maybe we'll toss it right back to you related to the Minnesota Coalition Task.
Yes.
One thing that maybe we could take some time to talk about while we're here, and the national folks are here too, is talking about some of the challenges that it looks like we're going to be facing this legislative session, especially in the first couple of weeks, as they don't even know if some people are going to show up. As I heard on the news last night. So it's mind-boggling. But Sean, do you want to talk a little bit about the coalition task force, and then we'll come back and merge that with the legislative work?
Yeah, so this one is like really related to the outreach task group, and really it's a lot of wait and see, or getting ready for having this script prepared and whatnot. So it's been mostly people just kind of getting the Dropbox in order and getting all of the documentation up to date with the new legislative language. And then we will be using this group more so for when we're actually doing the outreach.
And it's exciting. Eric and I and Melissa, Mel, and Amy, and a few others were talking last night about how exciting it is that this group has grown. You know, I have 16 folks, as you can see here on this slide, and then the next couple slides. That's amazing. And I love getting to see our colleagues, you know, coming together and doing this collaborative work. There is, and that's the last slide on this, is next steps for each of these subgroups. And one of those is to empower more folks here to do some of that work, like Sean was just alluding to. One of the challenges, though, that we are going to have this legislative session, but we're still learning and we're still investigating and reaching out to folks, and anyone here that has information, please teach us. Because our bill was not introduced last year, it will not see any action this year. What that means, though, is all of this amazing hard work and collaborative work that everybody has done here on these committees so far, and then we will continue to do together over the coming months, it's hopefully going to set us up for wonderful, wonderful, wonderful opportunities next legislative session. I know we keep saying that, but they keep moving the goalposts. They keep changing the rules. They keep updating all sorts of weird laws and statutes and stuff. And we're just kind of left behind. So one of the things that we will be sending out as we get it is updates on this. You know, where do we need the most help? Who do we need to go talk to at the Capitol? Who do we need to talk to that can give us the right guidance and the right suggestions and the right support as we get ready to introduce the bill next legislative session.
Todd, I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just a clarification question.
Yeah.
Because it's my understanding that the cycle runs 25, 26.
Yep.
So when you say the next list, so can you?
It's a great question. We were completely surprised by this, Kimberly. We got an email. Who was it from? Whose office? Senator Wickland's office?
Yes.
Yeah.
Chair
Senator
Wickland on
Wickland.
the Senate side, yes.
Yeah. Chair of the HHS on the Senate side. Told us that she only wants to hear bills in the even year. And so she will not be hearing any licensure bills until 2026.
Got it. So you're okay. I may have misunderstood it.
You didn't? No.
I'm
I'm
what I
glad
was
you asked.
hearing was that we couldn't file a bill until after this next cycle. Thank you for that clarification. So we
So
can
glad you asked.
we can move forward with filing. It's just the bill won't be heard until 26.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct. Which might be one of those blessings in disguise in that it gives us time to listen to, talk to, collaborate with, educate our community and really, really listen to any concerns they have, hopes they have, anything. So it buys us that important time. And because of the way these subcommittees are organized and we get to hear more from them the rest of the evening, I really feel like we've got this really cool strategy in place that is hopefully going to build the membership on these subcommittees and then also the work that we all get to do. I hope. Great question. Okay, you just unshared. Go back and share again.
Yeah, I know it was a typo and it was bothering me, and I thought, okay, I can do it while they're
Oh,
talking.
that's funny. That's awesome.
Ta-da!
At least I'm not typing in front of you all. I don't know about you, but I can never type when other people are watching. It's the weirdest thing. All right. Tax benefits task force. Sean, I'm just going to let you take it. I was going to start to define the reason we put this together and the question that was there, but I know you're going to unpack that. So go for
Yes,
it.
I just had to read what I did and remind myself. It was a whole year ago, people. Yeah, we had to look, or I went on the tax webs, both the IRS national site and then also the state website to find out if we could write off, if employers can write off their employees under Schedule C becoming licensed, the process for licensure as opposed to certification. And what I found was that explicitly the IRS says, yes, you can do this. And I could not find any language, but it also said it defers to the national standard. And I could not find any language on the state level whatsoever regarding it. So.
Just a note on that. I do know that they specifically list that out as the things that you can write off. Licensure.
Good. Oh, good. On the state level?
I don't know for sure about that, but for sure on the national, they specifically list it out.
Yeah. Perfect. That was it.
It's one of those important questions that I know, or we know has been asked by our colleagues. And so we will continue to unpack this and learn more about this and push out that information as we get it. You're going to hear a little bit about the fact sheets. This will be one of those important points of information that will go on those fact sheets and go in our town halls and listening sessions and other things that we'll engage in throughout the year. Cool. Sean, thank you. All right, Erica, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Yeah, I can totally take that. Website task. This one was really, really fun. At the time that we had created this subcommittee, we were still looking into and waiting for feedback from the Minnesota Department of Small Business nonprofits, because we discovered after we had started this subcommittee that our state association can no longer support a section on their website for basically all of our stuff, for task force related stuff for state recognition, because it would be against the nonprofit lobbying rules and new state regulations that rolled out for maintaining their non-exempt status as a nonprofit. And I did include that in the newsletter for, I believe it was November's newsletter, and I might have done a little friendly reminder in December's newsletter as well. If you're wanting to know more information on that, there is a link on the newsletter, and the newsletter was either in your inbox, junk, or on our Facebook page. I also put it there as well. And so then what we did is we decided to take what is currently on the MTAM website and take a really hard look at it to see, okay, what is working and what is not working, and what could work for the future, and how are we going to utilize that in order to help support our community. And Lauren, Daniel, and Annie worked really, really hard to kind of create a nice outline of, if we do decide to find a free platform to make our own website, what could it look like, what should we include, and they decided to organize it all in a beautiful fashion so it's there when we're ready. I see a hand. Who? Judy. Yeah.
A question about, and just to give an example, other states task force put their stuff on the regional website. If you're wanting a page that people could find information about the task force, you could put it on the regional website, separate from the state association, because not Great Lakes is unusual in that you have all these state associations. That's the only region that has one in every state. And so like Pennsylvania doesn't have a state association, they have a task force page. And you can have both, so I mean, at least from a regional perspective. And the other thing, and I'm not familiar specifically with tax law in Minnesota, but for nonprofits in general, the bar that you have to meet for lobbying is 20% of your budget. So if you're spending more than 20% of your budget on lobbying, then that's a red flag for the IRS regarding your nonprofit status. If you are not spending that, you are allowed to lobby as a nonprofit, at least from a national perspective. So, because otherwise I wouldn't be employed. So, AMTA is a 501c3. So we have to be conscious of what we spend, for instance, like on lobbyists, on the time I'm actually physically with a legislator. I have to track those types of things. I have to track when I spend money on a state's Hill Day. That has to be reported in our 990 every year to the IRS. So I track all the money we spend throughout the year in every state and on federal things. And as long as we don't hit the 20% of our overall budget, we're okay. So that's from a national perspective. So I don't know if Minnesota, you said something new came through, and you might have limitations, but as far as the website, I think you should maybe tap the region for, and got your regional president right here. So that works out well.
Only for another 2 months.
Okay. But who's counting, right?
No, I'm not counting. I'm going to miss it. I really am. Anyway, the region's happy to help and support in any way that we possibly can. And so if this group of folks would like to have that happen, then absolutely. We've got a new website coordinator. We've got a new communications team that's got tiered responsibilities. So it'll be an immediate thing. Actually, one of our colleagues from Minnesota is in charge of the regional website. So that's y'all just let me know if that's kosher. And I don't know the Minnesota laws and statutes as well as I'm looking at Mark and Melissa and a few others. I don't know those as well. But I do know that we're not spending any money towards lobbying. We don't have a lobbyist. We're spending $0. So I would be very curious to learn more about if there's a fiscal or financial threshold for that, or if it's Minnesota's just really, really being very rigid on this, and any form of lobbying from Music Therapy Association of Minnesota is not permissible. So those are my thoughts on it.
Todd, do you feel comfortable talking about the fact sheet task force?
Yeah, I know. So a lot of the work of the fact sheet folks is going to really kick in as we get more information from our colleagues. So as we get demographic information, as we learn more about where folks are working, how many folks they're working with each week, those types of fact sheets will get updated as we learn more from the legislators and our bill is introduced, and we can then update those fact sheets that are related to the governance side. So that task force hasn't done a whole lot of work up until now. But as we all know from different voluntary opportunities that all of us have had, sometimes some people complete their work and they're done, and then some people are kind of in the wing and they want to do this work, but they can't do that work just yet. And so that's where these folks are. And so if there's others that have completed their jobs that may be interested in switching over, we don't want to lose you. You're amazing friends and colleagues. If you feel like you have the time, then we'd love to have you join the fact sheet subcommittee. How was that? Anything to add, Erica?
Beautiful. No, I mean, right now they've just done the bare bones and made them look pretty. Because we gave everybody permission to let their creative juices fly, and yeah, they did. It's great. Okay, and our last two is Brianna, I think you're here. Do you want to talk about the map?
Yes, I certainly could. And I could actually share my screen too if people want to see
Yes,
the
yes,
actual
yes. Show
map
and
online.
share. Show and share.
Yeah, but this is exciting because I, in the professional world, haven't really participated in anything like this. So this is my first time. So yeah, I made a digital interactive map. So hopefully people can see my screen. And so this is just in the state of Minnesota, of course. And so I gathered information from CBMT, and the points right now are just the home addresses of the board certified music therapists. And it's color coordinated, of course. So the lightest color is just one person, orange is 2 to 5 people, red is 6 to 10 people, and dark red is 10 or more people in the specific zip code. So it goes off of zip code. And so you can like zoom in and kind of see where everybody's located. So of course, like not in the Twin Cities area, it's a little more sparse, maybe just one person. So you can click on it and you can see one music therapist in this particular zip code. And then if you go down more to this area, you can see there's a lot more people here. And there's only one point that is the darkest red in South Minneapolis. So this one has 13 music therapists in this particular zip code. And it's nice to have it by the specific zip code because instead of just like Minneapolis in general, you can kind of see more specifically where people are located. So in whatever way this will be helpful, that'll be very exciting. And so I didn't know that this existed, but I think this is called Google My Maps, I think is what it's called. We tried to use some other programs which would have made us have to pay continuously to use it. So this is free, attached to the Google account, and you can add different layers. So as I said, right now, this is just the zip codes for the home addresses for the music therapist. So if I unclicked that, they'd go away. So if we wanted to add more layers, potentially to add information of like where people are working or the service areas of people who are receiving music therapy services, that could very easily be added and have some differentiation between that. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. I want to share that with other states for sure. That's really great.
I'm making note of that for the same reason, Judy.
Yeah.
I remember getting to see this for the first time just a few weeks ago, and Brianna, just thank you for the hours of inputting those zip codes, those addresses, and figuring out how to do this. Thank you. One thing that I'm wondering now that I just wrote this down and it just got my mind thinking, how do we do voting districts? Like, this is great. Knowing where people live, that's obviously where they're voting. That's their constituency. But is there a way to make it now, we might not have any of the answers right here, right now, and this might be like a mountain out of a molehill. But I wonder if there's a way in that app or in that software or whatever the heck that Google. I wonder if there's a way that we can somehow create, okay, here's District 31A type of thing. I don't know. Maybe that's not doable. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I'll look into it. Certainly, I'm not very familiar with this program. Like I had never heard of it before, but I can certainly look into it. I like that
You're
idea.
amazing. You're amazing.
I know one of the things that
Good idea.
because unfortunately it's not always just zip code, it's the address as well, at least for voting districts. So I think it could be done because I know what a lot of states do is they just do colors based on districts. and the colors are connected with the number of therapists in that district. So, and then other states have actually taken the list, gotten the full list of not just, but the full address, and done the divide and conquer and put each legislator that goes with each therapist in that state. That's a very long process, but it can be done.
And that's I know what we've done in the past, and I think that's totally doable. Mel, I totally agree with you. I think that's a good idea. I just don't know how much of what Google will let you do. I don't know.
Well, and this is just a very random, because I know that even at the state level, when you're looking at the state map and you can kind of there's a similar tool like that, and you can kind of click on where you are and you see who your constituent, who your legislators are. I just wonder if there's a way to not necessarily merge, but it's a, I am not techie, but in my imaginary world of brains, there's a way to like transparency one over the other in a way that it's, hey, I'm this, and then this is this, and then, oh, and if I just click this, it sends me directly to that person's contact the legislator's contact information, so I can, write my words of magic. But that's in my pretend world, I know, but it would be great if somebody created that. That would not be me, but in my pretend world, it does exist.
I mean, there has to be district maps that you can just like overlay
Overlay.
pretty easily.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
about like
it's gotta be.
transferring Google points, but there has to be
I'm
district.
I'm pretty sure that you can do the layers in the same map. So I think it is like I think that's already been created and you can import that. And then I think there are ways to merge like this map that's specific to us of the music therapists with the districting map and whatnot. So we have unbelievable amounts of technology available to us.
Thanks, Dina. Brianna, I can't wait to get to learn from what you get to learn. But if you need any help or support, like seriously, like no one on this call is on an island. Nobody is alone. We are, not to quote High School Musical, we're all in this together. But truly, like seriously, we really are. So any help or support you need in going through this, and anybody else here, you're going to hear this when we talk about next steps. Anything we can do to help and support each other is what we're all here for. So. Cool. All right.
So the last committee, I'll go quick to the PowerPoint just in case somebody didn't see it. We have is the survey, and Casey couldn't make it tonight. However, we do have Melissa Spees, who also has been working on the surveys. Melissa, do you feel comfortable just take it away and show and share?
Sure, yes. So Casey worked mostly on the demographic survey, and I worked mostly on proposed music therapy here, I'm just, hold on, I can't talk and do. There we go. Proposed music therapy licensure survey. Do you mean it bigger, Mel? Is that good? I know, right? Old eyes. Isn't sign language very helpful for Zoom? Yes, yes. Thank you. So, I had about 10 people helping me create the survey that weren't even on, Casey, and then Todd and Erica and others as well helped me creating this. So lots of people helping, but obviously can continue to grow. But we've got just a little intro, what it's about, the 3 main points with licensure, the 3 purposes of this survey to determine how the music therapy community in Minnesota feels about proposing licensure for music therapists. One of the really big things that has been a roadblock for us in the past is we have not done a consensus survey at all. I was going through I had the 2015, 2016, 2017, 2020 survey. We never have asked our colleagues if they want licensure. And in Minnesota, you have to have a majority consensus. We have 366 music therapists in our community. So we need like 300 or something like that of the music therapists to be approving of it. So figuring out where people feel about licensure, what questions and concerns they have so that we can address them and figure out how to fix those problems so we can move forward, and then how to get more people involved and actively assisting, especially for that consensus piece, to be able to get more people involved so that we can have people in all the different peer groups, people who work in private practice, in the different school districts, in different larger organizations, a part of our group, so that we can get more people influencing other people and asking if they've completed surveys, blah, 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 and finding out what questions and potential roadblocks could be. So we've got, do you work in Minnesota? Do you support licensure? If not, what do we need to do about it to make it something that you're comfortable with? What questions and concerns, reinforcing the need to re-ask questions that have been asked before, since there are so many new music therapists in Minnesota. We've had a massive influx of new music therapists in our state, so we have to start from scratch with a lot of folks. Additional thoughts in support of licensure, so we can get some testimonials. Do you want to work with us? General suggestions, contact info if you want to join or to have follow-up. Yep, so that was that survey. And the other survey is super duper long. You know, it's funny. We were talking last night about being worried about how long it would take to take that survey. That survey will take no time to fill out, 10, 15, 20 minutes. This demographic survey I revisited today, as Casey spent most of her time on it. It will take people well over half an hour to fill out, I think. And it's one that this is the one that we've asked 2015, 2016, 2017, over and over again. So people are used to doing it. We just have a really bad response rate. I think we had like 61 people on our last survey. Do you want me to show that one too? Or I don't feel like that one we need to worry about because that one's not.
It's up to you. It's show and
Perfect.
share.
It's totally up to you. You've done so much great work.
Does anybody feel the need to see it? If so, happy to share, but you know, time.
Just a quick thought, and there's banging in the background. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on up there, but I'm curious to, as I'm discovering I'm aging, and I don't always understand some of the younger generation's interests and needs, and sometimes, if I can be so bold to say, hesitancy to sometimes spend a little time for a bigger amount of worth for everybody. I'm being rude, I know, but if you know me, I'm not
very delicately said, Melissa.
I'm curious with part of that, especially the demographic survey, as I've been learning, like just a little blip of video instead of so much text, as just an intro of saying like, hey, thank you for clicking on this. We're so excited. This information is valuable because blah, blah, blah. So fill out the survey, click on the button, like do the whole YouTube like infomercial thing, because that seems to be the attention getter that's going to make people say, oh, this is about me. Oh, this is important for me to do for me, but also for other people. And, you know, and then you might get a little bit more buy-in. I don't know, but at least that's been some of the feedback I've been getting when I create just a quick little, instead of my talking someone's head out about professional development or something, I create just a little quick 45-second thing of like, hey, this is how you can use this instrument for this sensory need. Then everyone's like, wow, that's brilliant. Cool. I'm going to do that now. And otherwise I don't get that response. So I'm just curious if that might be a way, and especially for some new people that are newer to the state, newer to this, that have felt islanded, especially coming out of the pandemic, that are not aware of the last 18 years that this has been going on in the conference, but just the overall importance, how it impacts everyone and not just music therapists, how it impacts our complete constituent, you know, all our community and the people we serve. When we know more, we know more, and then we can do more. And when we work together, we can do that. But I think we have to get an initial excitement level and buy-in. And if that's putting on a cheese head or doing something to get somebody to click on the video, which Sean already shook his head like, no, I'm not going to click on that. Whatever that might be, please don't make me be the person to do that, because I hate those things. But I'm tossing that out there is because I'm seeing that that's really a way to get excitement and bring people in. So just a random thought.
That is a phenomenal idea, Mel. And absolutely, that is a really, really, really good idea. And definitely a series of videos. And maybe I completed this video, why? And then if you want to create your own, we can share it out and just get people like super thinking all the other therapists are doing it. Maybe I should too. I think that might be good.
I
And
think
it's called-
I think that this is a really wonderful, well said, both Mels. I like how it's Melissa and Mel. That helps. Which is weird because I've called you Melissa literally like all my professional career. But anyway, I think that this is a wonderful, wonderful segue to like next steps. But I don't want to take us there just yet. Because I do want to circle back to that demographic survey that we were just kind of touching on, but be thinking these kinds of next steps when we talking a little bit about next steps. Determining next steps is not just up to just a few of us. It's up to every single one of us that are on this call and also not on this call. And so great opportunities like that might fall under community outreach or public awareness, public relations, whatever we want to call it, I think is brilliant. Absolutely perfect. So much appreciated. Okay, going back to the demographic survey. And we can always regather this amazing group of folks anytime over the next couple weeks, couple months, whatever it may be. So we can always come back to this. But one of the things that I saw Amy pop in to the chat with was maybe thinking about what do we actually need to ask in the demographic survey. You know, if there's 40 questions, do we really need all those? Now, we don't need to look at it now or unpack it now unless we want to. We have about 30 minutes left in our call. But maybe that's something, Melissa, with your incredible lived experience and expertise, you know, that's something you could take a look at, and then the rest of us can take a look at it as a collective, whatever we can do to help and support you in making that survey more, I don't know what the right word is, just more efficient for those that are going to take it, but still give us the information that we need. So does that make sense? I don't even know.
Can I chime in for just a sec on a couple of things about the survey? So we've been doing these surveys in all the states for almost as long as we've had really active task force work. And a couple of things to note is that if you breach the 20% response threshold, that's awesome. Which I know will sound really low, but that is between 20 and 40%, I would say mostly is where these land. And even if you haven't yet, that just keeping that in mind. So you're close, right? 17%, you're coming up on it. So just to put in perspective, you know, you're probably not going to get to 50 or 60. If you do, that's amazing. But even getting to that 20 to 25% would be fantastic. As you're thinking about what do we really need to know, thinking about what are the questions that are most often asked by legislators. So we could do a top 10 questions that are asked and then really rank order that? Like, what are the most important things? And go from that. So, you know, I think collectively, probably could do a Google form, have people, you know, put on the questions that they're asked most of the time, and then by process of elimination, get down to the consensus of what are the 10 most asked questions.
Dina, thank you. That's really, really, really helpful.
I'd like to chime in on that. What's going to happen is very different because Morris Kleiner is involving his education skills and informing our legislative body in both caucuses on the whole range of licensure, and here in the state of Minnesota is changing the demographic expectations. The state will be dismissive if we don't demonstrate the highest level of responses. They will dismiss it simply on that. Clearly, it's not a big enough issue if the majority of your people haven't even shown up to either say yes or no. That's the number one litmus test, and it's in their playbook. It's no longer about a list of questions. It's about a list of tactics they have to absolutely shut down licensure. And they are actually using some of the information that I've submitted, such as the NIH study and some of the other publications, to absolutely use these to tell the legislative body what questions they are to ask. One of them is name, identify, and demonstrate the complete list of people that would be implicated by this legislation. It gets that aggressive that quickly. They have changed it, and the state of Minnesota is in wicked, wicked trouble with some areas that it doesn't need much detail. But to be as succinct as possible, it is great to know what kind of critical questions that are going to be asked. And at the same time, we have to really extract the realities of being able to extinguish any ask immediately with as much information as we can get them.
So I can speak to that a little bit, Mark, in the sense of the questions that I believe that Kleiner is asking or recommending for states to ask is very similar to the Sunrise applications that we've done across the country. And it's usually like a 30-page document where we compile answers that are, you know, to those questions. And I don't know, have we done that in Minnesota? Have we ever had to do that, or is it even something that's there?
It's a good question. There has been a document that Health and Human Services House has required us to fill out each year. I can't remember. It's based on the 214 statute. And I can't remember the name of the document right now. It's similar to a Sunrise review. The Senate apparently is asking for a similar one, and that's what we just found out the other day from Senator. I just went blank on her name again. What is it? No, not Portman.
Wickland.
Portman's our. Yeah, her. I didn't hear you. You cut out. Sorry. Put it in the chat. I need to remember her name. Anyway, so both of them are asking for those similar documents. And I can even just drop it in the chat if y'all want to see what that's looked like. And then if y'all want to download it, obviously this will be revised and worked on. This has not been submitted this year. And it would be an all team effort, but Judy, that might be.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's very similar because it's exactly what Mark was talking about in the sense of being prepared to answer those questions. What communities are going to be impacted? What other professionals? What is the financial implications for both the providers and the constituents? What is, you know, it goes into so much detail. Sometimes the questions seem like, didn't I just answer that? You know, and it's like another way to say it. You have to come up with another way to explain it. This is really big on harm, you know, because that's a big question. It's like, why do we even need this? And so perhaps maybe that's something, yeah, if you want to share that, if you're able to share that in the chat, and then that might also help with our preparation, you know, for questions that we would receive from the legislators. Typically, it's done from the agency that oversees the licensing and not always from the legislative body, but every state's a little different. So,
And just
it's expanded. I wanted to clarify something. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, to Judy's point that we've done this before, we have completed examples of those types of sunrise reviews. It may be called something different in Minnesota, but in the national Dropbox folder. It's like Judy said, there tend to be similar questions, so that gives a helpful starting point. You don't have to start from scratch.
That's a good resource. I wanted to chime in, Judy and everybody, and Kimberly too. There are changes now where there are secondary rule out questions, and there's a new instruction from the Office of the Revisor. That's like an after the fact review. And so I don't have enough details because some of the law and policy enacted was written in 2024 and applied as of like the beginning of the year. And so we are actually skimming, and I've been finding new instructions. I think the key to remember here is that we're also in a circumstance where we don't know who is going to be asking the questions. And because we have been informed that the committees are being reorganized because we've had a shift in our House. And so reassignments of committees are going to happen. With that being said, when you mentioned the redundancy or like similar questions that are different, one of the things that's happening is that they're also having a new instruction, which is advocacy and allocation of consideration by other disciplines or other people who are inventoried, an open window for comment that the state will also offer. And they've changed the rules. It used to be a 90-day and then it shrunk to 60, and now it's a 28-day open door window of comment in Minnesota. And so in 2020, it was 90 days, and now it's 28 days. So it makes it really compressed, and I feel there's a dark side. Sorry for the ding dings. There's a dark side to this that I don't want to play into. But with respect to that, I know that there's tactical conversations as we speak against licensure because we have other groups that are going to be bringing up licensure and other organizations as well. So I'd like to be helpful for that. So you'll find that I can cut, paste, rob, and steal information from the internet at Wise for your interpretation.
On a side note, Mark, did you just take a picture of something?
I took a screenshot of my screenshot with my phone when I went to turn the dinger off because I've got piano fingers at the end of the day. I've been playing piano all day, so sorry about that.
I love sound effects. It's all good. Right? Okay. Oh, serious face.
Erica and everybody, I'm really excited to have licensure. I'm so for it. But I've been looking and extracting all of the layers that are working against us, and I've been studying every single failure, including watching and listening to the committees and how the people get burned down fast. And it makes sense to me, okay? I thought at first it was not, it makes sense. If you're gonna be licensed, you've really got to demonstrate in Minnesota, so many different things. It's starting to make more sense and it makes it harder, but I do appreciate it. What's not fun is when all the rules keep changing and I don't know how to keep track of it myself. So that's why I've written these letters and notifications for everybody to say, hey, this is what I'm finding. It doesn't mean I'm right, but what do you think? And it's not pretty.
I did want to respond just quickly, Mark, to something that you had sent. I know maybe to a smaller group. I don't know if everybody received it, but the report from NIH from the 1989, and to just speak to some of those recommendations and things and how that's changed over the years, because AMTA had a report in the like 86, 88, and about occupational regulation. And then they did another one in 99 when I first came on. I was not a part of it. I was just at the end. And just how the climate has changed to requiring more licensing to even set foot in a building to a certain extent in some healthcare settings in particular, and how different states have then dealt with their hesitation maybe to have, so many professions, and what does that do to the market? Does it make it fair? Are people going to be prevented from working? That's always the big thing we get from states that are against any kind of regulation. It's like, it's a free market. You can do whatever you want. So I do think, I really appreciated all the things that you sent. And I think that you make some really good points. And I do think that between the survey that you're proposing that's going to go out soon, and then obviously, a survey of just your fact sheet kind of information will also help us kind of reach out to the community to help us answer those questions that are in a sunrise review. I'll be curious to see, like, I haven't had a chance to look, but to look at what the committees are asking or what they did ask previously. I do think we have some of that data now, and hopefully with information we collect through the surveys, we'll be able to be more specific to Minnesota.
Judy, thank you. I wanted to say that to everybody that the state of Minnesota keeps using that stupid NIH. That's what they keep using. And I'm sorry, but I'm like, this is outdated, but that's what they keep using.
That's what they keep referencing. Yeah,
right. And when they do that, and then the reason they do that is then if you trace back other research and replication studies, they all tend to go back to that. Mm. So it's like it's kind of like the dark force of origin. And it's like, well, our own government says no. And this is what's been a really dagger in what we're trying to do. So that everybody is aware, what Judy mentioned, it's in some stuff I sent to everybody. It's just, this is the origin troublemaker for us, okay? And we've all come across crap studies that have really, really messed up our day, okay? I don't even want to go down the road of the autism music therapy study, the worldwide study of chaos, but you get it. So it's pretty important to know that there are a few other studies that are also dark, but there's not actually a lot of qualitative studies that are pro-licensure for what we're doing. And respiratory therapists are finding that this is becoming a huge issue in many other states. And of all people, you'd think someone that intubates somebody would want to be licensed, right? But it's an issue, so.
Melissa, I know you had your hand up, or Mel, sorry, it's just habit, my friend.
Yep, nope.
Go for it. And then I just wanted to say something quick about the doc that I uploaded, but please go first, go for it.
Okay, just a thought, I mean, thinking back and then also applying to now, of course, we learn from what happened in past, but we can't change those things. But one thing that I keep hearing over, and I've always liked and appreciated this, but the shift of changing the verbiage or the words we're using, and I love it how Mark is always saying to demonstrate demonstrate the skill, demonstrate the need, demonstrate, and it's a shift that is needing to happen across the board in our field to kind of show that it's not and that's something I remember hearing way back when is like, well, how can you demonstrate there's a need for this? How can you demonstrate that people aren't getting reimbursement? How can you show me that someone isn't, has tried to file this claim over and over and again, and these services are denied? How can you demonstrate that there isn't access? And then how can you demonstrate effectiveness? How can you demonstrate that generalization? What is the rationale for having music therapy for such a, for a long period of time, especially if it is an ongoing component and not like a 10-week cycle or whatever that might be. But those are the words, the language that I've heard 15 years ago, but is really, really needed now. And, we have 366 people, Melissa said, and I know there's going to be 366 different interpretations of someone saying, demonstrate to me the need for this in your area. And that's where I really would love to see some of that information become so much more aligned, because do I think so and so is going to call me up and be like, hey, I got this bill and I see you're on, for you're on CBMT and you're one of those music therapists. And what do you think about this? Like, do I think that they'll actually do that? No. But could they? Sure. And, ultimately, we want everyone to have that same language and that same passion and to say, there's absolutely a place and a need, not a nice to have, but a need to have these services across the board. Um, and by I think even just that small component of changing language in a generalized form of how we talk about what we do and then even how we write those goals, I think is really important. And I would love to hear some other thoughts quick. And I know we're going on, or I don't know how long this was supposed to be, but that is something that I've really been impassioned about the last several years, of having more people aligned with the power of how you're writing, the power of how you're speaking about what we do, and how we're talking about people actually gaining these skills needed through music therapy services that aren't guaranteed through other things.
Mel, that's really well articulated, and that's another good thing that leads us into the, okay, what are we going to do next? And I think one of the things that we could take from what you were just saying in combination with what everybody else has been saying tonight is, hold on a second, will you play with her in the other room, please? Sorry. It's okay. Anyway, the dog wants to play. Lost my train of thought. During these coming months, 10 months, 12 months, whatever it's going to be, this education period with our community, making sure that our fact sheets are updated with that verbiage so that everybody is using the same language. We understand the language. We know why we're saying it in the way we're saying it. We understand how that relates to our scope of practice, our codes of ethics, our standards of practice, our continuing education, all that important stuff. Everything that you were just saying and everything that everybody else was saying, I think is part of our community engagement. It's part of our listening to our community. It's part of revising the document that I just sent, which is, it's a year old, and every time that we've always looked at this questionnaire A or B or whatever it is, we always make changes to it. And having a larger team with incredible diversity and lived experiences is going to make this document even better. So Mel, I think it's a great segue into what are we going to do next, and how are we going to make sure that the statements, the phrases, the written word as well as the spoken word, how is all of that disseminated out to the community, and how are we revising it to best support our community and push our profession forward? Cool. All right. So why don't we do have about 10 minutes left. And I know some folks from the national office, maybe all four of you. Are you all four on the East Coast? I think you're all four on the East Coast. So it's a whole hour later. And it's your first week back at school, Kimberly.
And
I
it's
got another
Judy's
week and a
like
half.
20th call, so.
That's great. Yeah, Judy, that's mind-boggling. Okay, so next steps. I hope, and I hope it's okay to speak for Erica in this as well. We hope that if you have completed your task, we hope that you'll still stay with us. We hope that you'll reach out to your network of colleagues and your network of friends and invite them in, because this is just the beginning of something very exciting. And there's no way that we can do it alone at all. And we have time. It's frustrating that we won't be able to have it heard this legislative session, but as I said, or someone said, and I don't know if I said it or not, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that it gives us the important opportunity to build community, build bridges, build connections with our colleagues throughout the states, and make sure that we are using all the same verbiage, and know why we're using the verbiage that we're using. So that in the end, we can do what we want. And that is to create better access to our services for our service users, and to make sure that it's board certified music therapists, us, that are doing those services. So I think moving forward, I think our focus is going to make sure that we finish up any of these tasks that have not yet had a chance to be totally completed. We'll get the surveys out. Once we get the surveys back, information will be shared with everybody. We'll have ongoing meetings with everybody, and then we'll figure out how best to push the results out. And in my mind, it's going to be in a variety of ways. And I love the reels. I love the short little videos. MLK is this month, I think. I
It's
think
the third Monday, so I was just curious if we're having it on that Monday night.
That is a great
Holiday.
question. I know that we had talked, that's a really good question. And I think that we had tentatively actually scheduled it for MLK evening, but we should absolutely maybe rethink that. And in honor of MLK and all of his incredible work.
It's
So-
also Inauguration Day, which is just awful to have.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
so be aware.
All right. Don't
MLK
even,
and Inauguration Day
it's MLK Day.
together. So, there's that.
All right. So
Also, February is on President's Day, and I know a lot of people will be out of town that weekend too. Just planting that.
So we'll do doodles, or we'll do some sort of communication to figure out the best day for the majority of us. We can always record, but if we can have as many people here, obviously, then that's amazing, and that's hopefully what we can do. But I think the best next steps are going to be, let's see what information we get from our colleagues, and then determine what types of listening sessions, town halls, in-person Zooms, Facebook Lives, real videos. I don't have TikTok. But whatever we need to do, we will absolutely do what we can to get the message out to our colleagues, and bring our colleagues in and listen to them, and answer any of their questions or concerns that they have. Does anybody have any additional thoughts though about next steps? That's just kind of where my mind is right now. And oh my gosh. Hi. I've never met your kids. That's so cool.
Sorry, I have to go, but they wanted to just say hey to everybody. So, because they know some of these faces. So say goodnight, everybody.
Hey y'all, you have an amazing mom.
Thank you.
Have a good night. So does anybody else have any other thoughts? And we'll make sure to send some summaries out. We'll make sure to, somehow, make sure that this meeting is maybe we turn it into a YouTube video and put a link on MTM's Facebook page. I don't know, but we'll make sure that this gets out to everybody. But are there any other additional thoughts or questions or ideas as we move forward?
I'll write them down. I think it's best. I'd like to get my thoughts based on some other things. I do want to update everybody. So in 2024, we had some changes that are required of all licensed bodies, by the way, in Minnesota. And next Tuesday morning, updates are coming up on guidelines for license and license applications that the state of Minnesota is putting out. And I just have the notice from the DHS on that. So a big notification came out this morning, which I updated the board on for MTAM. And I want to clarify that we had spoke about the lobbying regulations for nonprofit, but Erica sent the link, and the language is line different for Minnesota. And we did get a notice from the IRS related to language changing in some other things, but we had to skim through. And the main point here is that we would not want to threaten our nonprofit status, because the penalty is also like a 5-year look back on how much money you've received, and then they'll punish. They can do a look back and say, well, you guys owe this, and that would mean probably about $25,000 over the last 5 years that would be then considered taxable for the violation. It's just not worth that to a tiny little organization that actually is flush. Right, Amy? I mean, we're flush. For a state, we're really flush. So
For a small region, we're flush. But, Judy was talking about it being 20%, and there's no way we spend Have they
It's
changed?
not the case. It's not the case
Okay.
because it depends on what type of nonprofit you are. Okay, and that's why we have that specific line in Eric. You can see it traces, and it's like just take it as it says, line by line. This means no, and it's like a certain percentage. It's true. It's totally true, but it depends on the type of nonprofit. And it says to contact or to, you can read it. It's like just contacting somebody as an organization to influence legislation is a violation now. And it's right there in the language. So it makes it spooky. We even have to be careful about how we connect to our state organization with our asks. So it puts us in a really tricky place. That is, again, why we have to be very careful in Minnesota. And I'm going to cite Morris Kleiner again. Morris is not a bad guy. He's a wonderful dude who's an expert on darkness. And the reason I bring it up is because we can very quickly come into an organization or a group of people who are a minority that are trying to manipulate something and can be considered in violation of the antitrust policies, including the new interstate commerce antitrust laws. That's why we still need more information. So everything I said, please take that with the level of knowledge that needs to be refined further. I'm not saying this is, but we need to really be more careful than more cavalier at this point, because we know who the dark horses are that are not supporting and trying to drive out licensure and stuff like that. So I will write ideas and then look for people's comments, and always love corrections on spelling as well.
Mark, thank you. The other thing I wanted, and I apologize for not saying this earlier in my little soliloquy. Anyone that's been on those task force currently, if you, as you've been doing your work, Brianna, we've already kind of teased out a little bit about what you may do next. But if anyone here individually is like, hey, I would love to continue and I can see myself going in this direction. I'm not an authoritarian leader at all. To me, this is leadership by giant committee. And so if as you've been doing your incredible work, Sean, Brianna, Laura, I know you were on a couple of the committees. Jessica, I hope we get you on the committees. Melissa, you're already on the committees, and anyone else that's listening to this, we'd love to have you on the committees. If there's stuff that you would like to see that you want to continue on doing, just let us know, and we'll do our very best to help you and support you in any way we can. Anything else for the good of the order?
Happy New Year.
Healthy Happy New Year to everybody. Seriously, I can't tell you all how much I appreciate you and your time and your talents and just everything that you are and that you give. So appreciate y'all.
Take care.
You too, everybody. Have a really good night.